This is delightful. I'm so glad we came here. Feel those vibrations at Camp Video Games. Hello there, camper, and welcome to Camp Video Games. This is Junior Counselor Sean, joined by my old pal, Junior Counselor Josh.
Hello again, campers. Welcome back. And I heard one of you told a ghost story so spooky that poor little Nathaniel of Camp, what are the cabin 17?
69, baby.
Oh, dang. He's in the coolest cabin. You guys kept him up all night and he peed in his pants.
And on his bed, and on the floor, and in his sock drawer.
I'm making you guys clean it up. All right. Anyway, that's regular business. Now let's get down to video game business. This is Camp Video Games, the podcast in which we discuss the video games that we love and their outer media adaptations. And right now we're in one of our longer series going through Final Fantasy VII, leading up to the release inevitably. I don't know why I said inevitably, like it's a bad thing, but a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, probably within a week or two of this publishing. I don't know. Where we do these about a month in advance.
That's right, Mr. Calendar. So we are in our fourth part of our Final Fantasy VII discussion. And if you've been keeping up with all the discussions, Cloud and the gang just broke out of Midgar. It seems like they like escaped Midgar or broke out or finally left it because their home was smashed by a big old metal plate, and a lot of things happened that you can listen to us talk about in the last episode. So if you haven't listened, this is the fourth part in a ongoing series. So try to keep up.
Yeah, come on, guys. What are you doing? Lazing her about? So we left off when they had just left Midgar, and we have that nice, lovely little hang at the gates of Midgar, which is also where Final Fantasy VII Remake left off. They have since they've released, I think, like one canonical video. I think it was updated in the what's it called? The DLC. They added a scene of them walking to Calm.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that is left off, and so we're going into uncharted territory from here on out in terms of the reboot, remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Junior Counselor Josh, you have played the remake, and I have not. I have just been playing the original Final Fantasy VII every few years since its release. So the events of this game were quite familiar to me, but the new styles, that's still all very foreign to me. But I will probably play it after we finish this series, just to keep this train rolling.
Yeah. So the next order of business here in the world of Gaia, that is Final Fantasy VII, is to go to Calm Town. Who gives you the order to go?
It's Barrett's idea for them to go to Calm because when they're all hanging out in that little like desert looking area outside of Midgar that you were just talking about, Aerith basically volunteers Cloud to become the new leader of their little party. And Barrett, who, you know, he was being the leader of the eco-terrorist organization Avalanche, which was the center of your clique. Previously, he it's sort of like his last order as the previous boss.
Yeah.
For them to all regroup at Calm.
To be like, yeah, all right. Well, I know this world. Well, follow my order one more time.
That's right.
So, yeah, we head up to Calm. I missed on the way, I believe, an important enemy skill you can get is Flamethrower or something.
Yes.
I feel like I use that a lot in the early game, and I just don't have it in my playthrough, and it's driving me nuts.
I do have that. Flamethrower is a powerful one, and Matra Magic.
I got that. I've been using that a lot.
That's the one I use the most because, enemy skill materia If you've never played the game, or if you want a little refresher, but enemy skill materia is when you equip it, it doesn't immediately give you anything, but you have to be attacked by an enemy by the particular skill that you're able to like absorb or learn from them. And after that, it's available to you. Matra Magic or Matra Magic. It's an all attack. It'll attack all of the enemies with these really cool missiles.
Yeah.
It's
Huge
magic.
at
It's
this
magic
point in the
missile,
game.
like
Yeah.
for our D&D heads.
Yeah. Huge at this point in the game because your all materia is probably all level 1, which means you can only use it once per
That's
fight.
right.
And this you can just blast. And it's the best way to level up limit breaks. At
That's
this point.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked.
Put that on. Get it and blast it.
Yeah, you get Matra Magic from an enemy called the Custom Sweeper, and it looks like one of the robotic guards that you fight in the first Mako reactor at the beginning of the game. It's cool. And Flamethrower you learn from someone else, and it's a very powerful fire attack. And I talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but like, yeah, enemy skill and steel materia are simultaneously like the best and worst thing about this game for me, because I'm not typically a completionist gamer, but as soon as I know that I can get better skills and equipment from those two materia, it like reprioritizes everything in my numbers brain, where I just have to get the best stuff. And it's actually worked out really well for me, since especially with the steel materia. I've got the best equipment right now, not to brag.
Not me. I'm in dire sorts in my playthrough, but let's go on to Calm Town.
Yeah, let's calm down.
Calm down.
So,
KALM, calm down.
When you go to Calm, the whole gang, they reconvene in the second story of the local inn, and it's here that the everybody wants to get caught up from Cloud about like his relationship with Sephiroth, because Sephiroth just killed the president of Shinra, and
No one's really sure.
stole Genova.
Yeah, like there's some feelings like, well, I guess he should be on our side, but Cloud was sort of like, no.
Yeah.
Hold up. Hang with me. Let's take a trek across this
Memory
field
lane.
over to this town called Calm, and I'm just going to let you guys stew in that for a few days while we travel, and then I'm going to tell you this story.
It's funny that Baird's like, let's reconvene at Calm. It's literally right next to Midgar. It's if you were to leave Midgar and traverse the world map, it would take you about 10 seconds to get to Calm if you don't get into any
Well,
fights.
you know, it's all an abstraction. I like to think they spent several days, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yep. We go into I don't know, the most maybe impactful flashback in video game history.
Boy, we're about to get into it.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal here. So where do we start?
Yeah.
In the Calm flashback.
Well, to
5 years ago.
To begin to summarize this very important exposition, this is Cloud. He's lore dumping on his homies right now. But we learn as Cloud is telling the story, we are told it through flashback, that Sephiroth is Cloud's war buddy, is the way that he would describe him, from 5 years prior to the events of Final Fantasy VII. It should have been 7 years, but whatever. Everything is 7 in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. This is a very anime thing to do. To make
guess
people like just a little younger than they should be.
Right, because Cloud's at this point he'd be 16 years old.
Right.
So
He'd be
okay,
a
at least he's
16-year-old
not
child
14
soldier.
years. Yeah.
But like they you know, like he should have been 25 in the game, 18 in this back, whatever. It's a very anime thing to do.
Child soldiers are pretty common throughout history.
Yeah, that's fair.
Think about the amount of like Call of Duty we play, you know.
Oh, me? I'm always playing Call of Duty.
I'm playing
all
right
day,
now.
every day.
I'm not even looking at you. I'm just looking at a screen, killing some goddamn noobs. I'm sorry, but so Cloud and Sephiroth, they are on their way to Nibelheim, which we will get into a little bit later. They're doing cleanup of resistance to the Shinra. They work for Shinra. They're Shinra. They're a soldier in this story. Cloud and Sephiroth are Shinra. Or I'm sorry, they're soldier first class, and they are accompanied by two anonymous low level. They're like the same cops that we've been fighting throughout the thing. I think they're soldier third class because that's who I stole Cloud's sword Hard Edge from in the Shinra Tower. They can be recognized by wearing the same cute like purple blue outfits as Cloud in their battle avatars.
Oh, interesting.
But so Cloud, Sephiroth, some cops. They're in the back of a truck. It's stormy. The wiper blades are keeping the time as the truck is bouncing along. Cloud is just an eager beaver. He's just so excited to be on a mission.
He's so not himself.
Yeah. Isn't he?
I've been thinking about this like all week leading up to recording this. Do we want to try to tell this spoiler free, or do we want to talk about? Okay, then I can do that.
I think it's important that we let the revelations come as the game reveals them.
Okay.
That's why we haven't discussed some other very important plot developments so far.
Yeah.
Which I applaud us for.
This is gonna be a tough part to do that with, but I'll do my best.
So they are on their way to an old Mako reactor on the outskirts of Nibelheim that has been, and this is a quote from the game, malfunctioning and producing brutal creatures.
Oh, okay. That's a normal one.
And on their way to Nibelheim, the truck gets stopped by a dope-ass dragon. And this is going to give me a boner for the rest of my life. You get to have Sephiroth in your battle party.
Yeah.
You don't control him, but you get to see what it's like to have a high-level character who is just
beasting.
So awesome. And like, we only get to see Sephiroth's battle model like once or twice in this game, and that's
you'll see it one more time in this flashback, and that's pretty much it in terms of his like standard battle model like that.
Now, what happens in this fight typically is the dragon is going to kill Cloud in a single hit, and then Sephiroth is going to kill that dragon in a single hit. It's a nice little teaser into just how strong Sephiroth is.
Using the game engine and mechanics to show the story.
You know what I like about him?
Yeah.
He's got those big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers going up.
I like those numbers.
You know he's strong because he got those big numbers.
So strong. So Sephiroth, he's a master of excellence. He's the model soldier. He's the perfect warrior. He's so hot too.
Yeah, we want to bone him.
He is a femboy.
He's a very sexy femboy.
Good lord. Is now, not to be too offensive, is Sephiroth a twink?
No. This is a hard question. I don't know if we're like gay enough to answer this.
Yeah.
He's like too hard-bodied. Like I've seen some buff-ish twinks, but there's like a limit to it. Whereas he's extremely hard-bodied. But I don't know. He's pretty rough and tumble.
What do you think Sephiroth's limit break would be?
Does he have one at some point in the game? I don't recall.
So.
And he's not quite. I don't think he's quite an otter either. Because I think of an otter as like me.
I'm so straight. I don't know what an otter
I'm a little
is.
doughy and a little furry. I think that's an otter.
That's fun.
Not quite a bear, you know.
Yeah,
definitely not a bear.
Not a bear.
Yeah. Anyways, don't know how to categorize him other than sexy femboy, anime femboy.
He shows a lot of no chest hair.
Yeah.
Woof. I'm crossing some wires here. Okay, so Sephiroth, upon learning that Cloud is visiting family in Nibelheim, or that he's got family like in Nibelheim, his mother, Sephiroth, he's like, oh, my mother's Genova. Cloud's like, what about your dad? He's like, I don't worry about my dad.
Yeah.
And Barrett, he like stops the story. He's like, wait, Sephiroth's mom is that headless eyeball nipple thing that we saw in the like hyperbolic chamber.
Yeah. And Cloud's like, look, I can just hold on.
He's like, yes. Cloud's like, I've got so much story to tell. Please. My story is longer than my sword. In Nibelheim, Sephiroth, and then this is back in the flashback, of course, as Cloud is telling the story. Sephiroth is like, okay, you guys can visit the town, do whatever you want, just like keep a guard posted. I'm gonna hang out. And Cloud visits his mom, and she's got kind of the same hair as Cloud. Cloud's mom is just like, you need to date an older woman. Like, you need someone to take care of you. I'm worried about you. Are you eating well enough? All that mom stuff.
Yeah, this is a really interesting scene.
Go off.
Because there's a couple times in this flashback where it's very important that you note that Cloud's memory runs out. And a couple times in the house, you get that flash to white, like,
yeah.
And
selective memory.
Yeah, his brain sort of tweaks out about like what this memory looks like. And I guess I have to remember why this is important for like 4 or 5 more episodes to bring up later.
I think if we want to shed a little bit of light, Cloud is not he might be a bit of an unreliable narrator. We'll just go.
That's fair to say.
We'll just go that far.
I think.
At this point.
Yeah, and there's hints that will come up in the telling here as well. So yeah, she's doing all that. Did you go into Tifa's house?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. How far did you go into Tifa's house?
I went all the way, baby. But to summarize, like, Cloud's mom is like, you need an older woman, and then Tifa's dad, who you meet later, he's like, stay away from my daughter.
Who is an older woman.
Who is an older woman, exactly. Let's talk about Tifa's house. So you go into Tifa's house, and Cloud is interrupted by Tifa continually through this part. Tifa's like, wait, Cloud, did you go into my house? Cloud's like, yeah. And then he goes upstairs, and Tifa's like, wait, did you go into my bedroom? He's like, Cloud's like, yes, I did. Yeah. And then Cloud can look through Tifa's diary, I think, or I forget the specifics.
I believe I did them all. So I'm just watching my playback here to see. I don't know. Maybe it's just her drawer that you can go into.
Yeah, you can go through her drawer.
Definitely go in the drawer.
You can go through her underwear drawer, and Cloud can choose to be a weirdo asshole, or he can he's like,
I went all in,
because Cloud be like, yeah, I found some orthopedic underwear.
Yeah, that's a very interesting translation.
What the fuck is orthopedic underwear? Did Tim Rogers' weird translation thing?
He did for sure. This is one of the things he hit for sure. I don't remember the specifics, so people should go watch that Let's Mosey series.
I'll do my own interpretation of what it might sound like. And then Cloud goes into Tifa's bedroom, and he finds underwear.
If I don't know if this is what he deduced, but I think it's supposed to be more akin to like granny panties.
Yeah. I was just thinking like period panties, or like that's a more recent
or like pads or something.
Yeah, well, like period panties are like an interesting development in women's menstrual health because it relieves you of the burden of having to buy as many sanitary napkins, things, pads, tampons, and stuff. But there was just I swear this is brief.
Let's talk more about women's healthcare. We got this.
Well, there was a specific brand of menstrual panties that were just recently revealed to have some pretty intense toxins in their underwear that is specifically made to absorb your blood, and it's like,
that seems good.
If you're gonna do it right.
Yeah. Free market, baby. Let's
yeah,
go.
Well, that's how we breed innovation, isn't it?
That's right. There's too many checks to clear, too many regulators. Tear it all down.
Be nice to women's vaginas.
Yeah. Anyway.
So then you play Tifa's piano, her piano, and this is how you can learn Tifa's theme song in order to later get something.
You can do that here?
Yeah.
I feel like I might have even been on screen for anybody watching the YouTube version when we were in there. Like I thought I was running around the piano trying to do it, and I didn't activate it.
Yeah.
That's on me. And I feel like I recently read about this, about how there was like a Reddit post where somebody was like, come on, did anybody figure out that without going to GameFAQs.com?
Right,
you know?
no.
And somebody might have explained that there was some kind of hint in the piano in this flashback or something. Anyway, I'm only half remembering. Let's talk about things we do know.
Yeah, so I'm going to refer to my official strategy guide for Final Fantasy VII by David Cassidy, which has been my constant companion through this playthrough. But in order to get the theme song correctly, it's do, re, mi, ti, la, do, re, mi, so, fa, do, re, do. That's fun, isn't it?
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I'm quite a beautiful man. You can leave the story there at that point, right? Like that at that point, Sephiroth in Nibelheim, he's like Sephiroth is experiencing a sort of deja vu, where he's like he's not sure why, but he remembers this place, which is playing into that idea of like the fragility of memory and the importance of context and understanding who you are and where you are and when it is, and just being present in the moment. And it seems like a lot of these characters are like struggling with that.
So yeah, you could choose to go to bed here, and that will advance this flashback. Doesn't have the sort of break in it. It's interesting. This is actually sort of like told in a very nice 3-act structure. That was sort of like the end of Act 1, the introduction to the adventure that's sort of about to happen in this mini game of a flashback that I would venture to guess will be padded out to be, I'm going to say 6 or 7 hours in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which will come out in a week or two. Let's see if I'm right. So yeah, in the morning, we wake up and
there's a halo hanging from the corner of my girlfriend's four-post.
And Cloud goes to meet Sephiroth at the edge of town.
Oh yeah, this is their big photo op. I forgot to mention we get to meet before this happens. We get to meet Zangan.
Oh yeah, skirt. Back it up.
he's Tifa's sensei. He taught Tifa how to punch good.
Yeah, he did.
He's just an interesting, kind of goofy looking character who doesn't really fit in with the aesthetic of Nibelheim, but he's an eccentric kung fu master.
I actually just like 3 or 4 days ago, I saw on Twitter somebody post something, and they were like mostly joking about how like people always talk about how like women in Final Fantasy have these unrealistic bodies for what they do, et cetera, et cetera. And then they attached this TikTok of this woman, some Asian woman, looked Japanese to me. I don't know. Call me racist if I'm wrong. But like, and she was like built like Tifa and just roundhouse kicking like the crap out of this sparring partner.
That rocks. Is she dressed like Tifa too?
No.
Oh, it
was just like some what do they call it? Mixed martial arts just training place where she's just like beating the hell out of a guy with a massive rack.
Okay, so she's got like Tifa size.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not impossible, but highly unlikely.
Shoot for the stars, campers.
Kids, if you're holding out to meet that woman, I'm gonna recommend you lower your expectations.
I just got really depressed. I don't know why. Okay, so now we're gonna have a really important photograph being taken.
Mm-hmm.
So in this photo, which like some rando from Nibelheim is like, "Oh, Mr. Sephiroth, can I take your photograph? You Mr. Famous Man.
Let me take your picture for the paper."
Yeah, and Sephiroth's like, "Yeah, but get my crew too. This isn't a solo photo." So we've got a photo with Cloud. We got Cowgirl Tifa. She's got her cute little cowgirl hat and boots, and she's dressed like a Wild West daisy.
Pew pew.
And Sephiroth and two of those cop guys, soldier third class.
I think those are just regular cops.
Yeah,
because you fight those guys like that's the first guy you fight in the game, and they're just cops.
Yeah,
they're just regular type cops.
And so they take the photo. And then we go in this motley crew's journey to the malfunctioning Mako reactor in Mount Nibble.
Yeah. They have to climb the most poorly engineered ladder of all time here in a minute. When on their way to the reactor.
They are traversing a rope bridge which breaks, and one of the cops dies. In the fall, that Sephiroth is just like, "Hey, like, we can't go back for him."
So it goes.
Yeah, he's just like, "I don't know, man." But okay. At this point, we can look at Sephiroth's stats and his material loadout.
I forgot to do it.
I'll just I didn't look at everything, but I know he's got like some like level 3 magic materia and like a bunch of other stuff, but he's level 50 at this point, Sephiroth is. And it's just so cool to see like at this point, because I think Cloud is level 1 in this this little thing. But it gives you a little glimpse into like, oh, if you like those numbers, they'll go up. If you stick with this game, you'll get bigger numbers.
Oh yeah, dude.
So Mount Nibble or Nibel, I don't know. Interested to hear how that's pronounced.
I'm gonna guess Nibel.
Yeah, so Nibelheim.
Yeah, I think it's. They might pronounce it that way in one of the voiced games, and it's been a while since I've been away from it.
Cool. So Mount Nibel is a Mako-rich mountain, and as they are, so now we've got Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth, and one cop,
and some chump ass cop,
some anonymous chump. They are walking through a cavern in Mount Nibel, and they find a Mako fountain with some naturally condensed Mako, which is what makes materia. Sephiroth gives us a little Bill Nye on how materia works and how it's a naturally occurring phenomenon that humanity has learned to synthesize. It's like diamonds. We can make our own diamonds by the amount a lot of pressure on a piece of coal or something. I forget. I don't know. Right. But it's kind of like this is that like old world magic of Final Fantasy VII, where this is how like the cave people of this world would like, they would find this and then they would be the most powerful person in the tribe, it seems.
These are the pressurized dinosaur bones of the world of Final Fantasy VII.
That's right. This is like I wonder what that materia is that they find. It's green, so it's a magic materia, I assume. But if they're in the mountains, maybe it's ice materia because it's cold. Who knows? It'd be cool if you could go back there and collect that at some point and have like a powerful rare materia. So.
I believe Sephiroth has this great line. A man once told me never to use unscientific terms like mysterious power. It shouldn't even be called magic. And he credits it to Hojo, who he insults immediately.
He hates Hojo.
Yes.
He's got like an innate hatred of Hojo.
Right.
For some reason.
Very nice little breadcrumb dropping here.
Yeah. He's got
it's a walking mass of complexes. That's the thing he says. What is a man but a walking mass of complexes?
Sephiroth has an immense amount of respect for Professor Gast, who is Hojo's forerunner. Mm-hmm. Hojo replaced Professor Gast. And he seems to have just like a a natural disdain for Dr. Hojo. So we get to this Mako reactor, and looking at it compared to other ones that we've been in, it's old school. It's got more like it seems to be less nuclear powered and more steam and rotor powered, and like there's like gears and chains everywhere. It just looks less refined and less technological than the Mako reactors that we have terrorism.
Yeah, it's been around for a minute.
So Cloud and Sephiroth enter the reactor while Tifa and the cop wait outside.
Chump.
As Cloud goes through, we get to this chamber with all of these vats with little windows in them. And at the top is Genova. The same Genova that we saw in Shinra Tower.
Well, we're not sure. At this point, it just says Genova. And Sephiroth's like, that's weird. That's my mom's name.
Yeah.
But we don't see that thing yet.
Yeah. So Sephiroth finds the malfunction that was causing the monsters to be produced. And he has Cloud go fix it. And taking a peek inside the vat, we get to see a pretty cool looking monster. It looks like it looks like Akuma from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
A little bit of Blanca too, but very Capcom monster. And we learn that this is what happens when creatures are imbued with Mako at a much higher level than soldiers are, because soldier, the special ops top tier operators of the Shinra forces, they are people who have been doused in Mako or
infused.
Infused.
Is the word they use.
That's why their eyes glow, and it makes them very easy to single out amongst other lesser humans. And
Sephiroth has a heated gamer moment about it.
he starts to he's like raging on the vats. He's hitting them with his sword seemingly ineffectually. It's like when you think about how powerful Sephiroth is, these things should just be like
tearing the
slicing through. He's like, it looks like he's hitting them with a stick.
This whole flashback in general has some up and downs about just how powerful Sephiroth really is. That we can discuss coming up here.
Yeah. Sephiroth is basically having an epiphany where he realizes that he's similar to these monsters. And after his rage, one of the vats spills open, and this icy monstery flame-legged thing. It's weird. It's like it seems to be imbued with elemental properties.
Yeah.
Or it's just like cryogenically frozen.
It's like when Neo comes to the real world. It's very similar.
Yeah.
And it's odd that they then just cut away. They don't deal with that monster. They just like, and that's the end of
I guess the monster just died of exposure.
It could have. I don't know. And then we have sort of our
get a save opportunity here.
Our where chance to breathe here.
The gang stops Cloud in his story, and they kind of reflect on what he's saying. The gamer can decide to save the game and go on with their life, touch some grass, or you can keep talking. As you keep talking, Sephiroth, after this happens at Mount Nibel, Sephiroth shuts himself up in Shinra Mansion in Nibelheim, I guess.
Yeah.
Cloud goes to check on Sephiroth in Shinra Mansion, which is this big mansion on the edge of the town. They explain that why it's there. It's like Shinra executives lived there to like oversee the reactor, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like something straight out of Resident Evil.
It is, yeah. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love the just like sort of gothic vibe to it. And is it at this point that we are hearing the sort of like tubular bell music? Just all right, yeah, okay. Oh, it's not feeding into my headphones, but yeah, I think it's here.
We
That
start to hear Sephiroth's theme.
yeah, but just these like bells,
Yeah.
ringing out. It's wonderful.
Ominous. So Cloud, he explores Shinra Mansion and finds a secret passage into the basement through a facade brick wall. And he goes down this corkscrew staircase that I had a lot of fun with as a kid. Just like running up and down this like spiral staircase over and over again brought me some weird dopamine. But
yeah. Oh, I think I have this wrong in my head. He first is running down there, and Sephiroth's deep in research the first time we run down.
yeah, he's doing some like out loud reading, and we learn that Genova is a dead organism found in a 2,000-year-old geological stratum, which is interesting. That's his mom.
Yeah. That's an odd thing to hear.
It was mom. Professor Gast's discovery. Professor Gast is the one who discovered Genova. And there's been a misunderstanding that Genova is an ancient. And I don't remember at this point if that's been refuted or not. Because the idea is that they think Genova is a surviving Cetra, one of the
ancients.
The ancients.
Yeah.
And we get into some of the ancient lore as well, where it's like the ancients were a nomadic extraterrestrial tribe that settled on the planet, but then kept moving.
Yeah, this is a similar lore to Xenogears, honestly. Planets being habitated and developed by a quote unquote alien race that's basically human. Anyway,
very angelic seeming.
Yeah. Sephiroth left in his weirdo study, just vibing out and going deep on his research. That's when Cloud's like, I'm just gonna sleep upstairs. Just keep an ear and an eye out for this guy. He seems a little out of it. He seems like he's not himself. And then you wake up and the bells are playing.
Yeah,
this is one of the greatest lead up reveals to like, and here's your bad guy in video games that I could think of.
So Cloud wakes up in Shinra Mansion after getting kind of a startling bit of exposition from Sephiroth down in the study, and he goes back down to check on Sephiroth, and it's like he's had his aha moment. Sephiroth has, where his epiphany is that he's different, and that the way he sees it, he's superior, and everyone else is insignificant. And the only thing that matters is that he is reunited with his mother. Got some dangerous mommy issues with Sephiroth.
The first thing he does when Cloud finds him is he calls Cloud traitor.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is hilarious. To me, it reminds me of like a 20-something who like just discovered like Marxism and that like America is a bad colonizer.
Oh,
and then like
man.
everybody else they meet, even though they're exactly the same, they're like colonizer, traitor. You're just and it's like, dude, no. The only difference is you read a book I read 15 years ago.
Right. You're bringing me right back to freshman year of college. Man, so
somebody who just thinks they're like so woke because they read a book.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's kind of like the way Sephiroth comes off when you first start talking to him here.
Did you even do the research?
Yeah, dude, you don't even know. Like, oh my god, you're just such a traitor.
Sephiroth's like an anti-vaxxer.
I did my own research on the internet.
I guess it's important to make note that like Sephiroth at this point is like he seems to be like living kind of a aimless, scatterbrained life, much like Cloud is living right now. Like up until this point, Sephiroth didn't really have a purpose or any sort of driving force for him. He was just like, why am I so great? Yeah. Why am I so much better than everybody?
Why am I like a god?
Yeah. And basically Sephiroth is like, I was produced. It's bringing this parallel that like Sephiroth is interchangeable with Mako, where it's a powerful force that comes at a price. And
I want to interject for one second to talk just about how much I love his villain lurch that he walks with now.
Yeah. Describe that.
As the like, full, like vocal synth, like massive villain theme is playing. He lurches now. He doesn't walk anymore.
Yeah.
He's like more like Frankenstein's monster at this point. I don't know why they chose that, but I love it.
I think he's walking with purpose now.
Yeah.
And
it works. It sells whatever they're selling.
Oh yeah, I bought it too. I bought it several times. This is like I've bought this game several times at this point. I've bought. That's not a word. I have purchased Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1 in 3 different occasions because I would lose a disc or I would scratch a disc and I would have to buy the whole thing over again. Then I bought it again for the Switch. So I'm buying what they're selling.
Let's see. I bought it once for PC. That was my first copy. Let's see. PC, PS1, mobile.
Oh yeah, I bought it on it's on my phone too. 4 times. Damn.
Switch, and I guess if you count remake. So I bought it 5 times.
Man,
About to buy it one more time.
I guess, Josh, you and I are both in our mid to late 30s at this point.
Yeah.
We are the target demographic for Final Fantasy VII content.
Yeah. I also am realizing as I put that all together, I probably played each of those like once. Anyway, when I do the math, I think this is approximately my 7th time playing this for funsies. Yeah.
So Cloud leaves Shinra Mansion, and it appears Sephiroth used Fire All on Nibelheim.
Yeah, dude.
Nibelheim.
Yeah, dude.
The town is in flames, and the first person to address Cloud is Tifa's sensei Zangan, and he's like, "Hey, you're not crazy, right?"
That's great.
It's a little levity for this horrific Holocaust that's happening right now. There's just like, there's a dead Shinra soldier. There's a dead Nibelheim villager. Cloud goes into his house and it looks like
probably sees his mother's burnt corpse.
Yeah. So, Bummer City. That's the new name of Nibelheim.
Or did he? Did he is the question.
And as Cloud is reckoning with this destruction that has been wrought by Sephiroth, he turns and he sees Sephiroth just like summarily execute 2 villagers with a sword. And then, do we have this up on the visuals right now? Oh yeah,
of course we have this up. This is the FMV of Final Fantasy VII. Everyone's seen that. Yeah. You see this and you're like, I want to fight and fuck that guy.
For the audio only listeners, it's Sephiroth standing in a pillar of flame. He looks at you with a sort of like sensitivity and hatred that it's hard to summarize, but he just kind of casually turns around and just walks into a wall of flame and just disappears into the fire. It's iconic. It is.
Yeah. Like if you know one thing about this game, it's that shot.
Yeah. Man, was that marketed.
Yeah.
When I think about just like iconic villain motifs, that takes it.
Yeah, like I said, when he's in the basement, I've never seen it done better, right? It's incredible.
Interested to see how Rebirth handles this.
Like I said, I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 hour like introductory quest.
Yeah.
And then when you get out of this, you're gonna be in a big open world because they've been. I stopped after whatever the last official trailer was.
Yeah. You've been a good boy.
I got back to the same point. If you go listen to our Zelda series before Tears of the Kingdom came out, I'm at the same point. Like, if I see anything related to it, just keep scrolling, close my eyes. You know, like we're a little bit over a month out at this point before it releases, and I'm closing my eyes so I can experience it proper. But I'm guessing this will be 6 or 7 hour opening chapter tutorial, and then big open world to go on to the next part.
Stay tuned and when we find out. So Cloud is like, he's just like left to try to save as many people from Nibelheim as he can, and then he goes back to the old Mako reactor, and this is back in the flashback still. And we get to revisit this flashback that he had at the second Mako reactor run, right before he detonated the bomb to destroy the second Mako reactor. We see Tifa kneeling over her dead father with a giant sword, which we now know is Sephiroth's Masamune.
Yep.
And she picks up the sword after decrying her hatred for Shinra.
Well, before we go to that, I do want to note this is worth bringing up and recollecting that throughout this retelling, if you pay attention, whenever we go back to the inn, to the present moment, you'll occasionally get Tifa sort of ellipsing or just like, as she's listening.
Putting a little doubt into these tellings.
Where she's just like, that's interesting. This is your version of the story.
Yeah,
and
that is interesting.
She doesn't intervene. She just lets it go.
Yeah.
This might, I don't know if it'll come up again, because I've just been noting in Tifa's voice, the way she talks sometimes, that like, Tifa's a bit of a cop. Tifa's a bit like it's the one I would trust the least, honestly. I'll if we come up to anything else, I'll point it out. But there's some moments where I'm like, I don't know if I trust her.
Interesting. I think if you want to like psychologically break down like what that could mean, it could be a lack of confidence. It could be not wanting to cause trouble by refuting what somebody's saying. Or there's just maybe a level of uncertainty in her recollection as well. Memory is fragile.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about like when detectives are trying to solve a crime, eyewitnesses are the least reliable like source of information.
Yeah.
So
I'll just say if we were to make a blunt rotation tier list, she'd be at the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah. Aerith would be on top. Maybe Barrett, Sid.
Oh, Sid for sure. We'll get to Sid.
Anyway.
Oh man.
We'll get to these guys. We can come back to the blunt rotation tier list at the end.
Oh man. That's fun. We should smoke a blunt too.
We can do that.
Maybe later. But so Sephiroth, he is looking into the top door where it said that Genova is being held. Tifa tries to go up to slash him with his own sword, but he just gets the sword right back from her, and he gives her a good gut slash.
Yeah.
That knocks her down a flight of stairs. She should be dead as shit.
At bare minimum, there should be a big, massive scar over them tiggles they gave her. Like, right?
Yes.
Like, this is just absurd. How well she recovered from this.
Yeah, it's showing that midriff. You don't see anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, interesting. Video games, man. You know how they don't make sense sometimes.
Games are.
So Cloud, he like picks her up. Also, if don't pick up people who've just fallen or like have like.
I know he should be stopping blood.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, it's video games. It's fine.
He uses a high potion on her. So Cloud is now following in the steps that Tifa was to intervene with Sephiroth to stop him. He just wiped out a full village of people, and now he's looking at. What we are led to understand is Jenova looks like an angel, like it looks angelic and mechanical, and
it's an odd thing to design for the freak alien that you're making super soldiers,
right? Because it's like a exoskeleton for the organism. It's like armor plating, and why they made it look like an angel, I can not say with certainty, but it looks cool. It's menacing, and Sephiroth basically has concluded that he has orders to take the planet back for the Cetra, under the assumption then that being a descendant of Jenova would make him a Cetra, which is the proper word for the ancients. Ancients equals Cetra. And he rips Genova's
he takes the exoskeleton and then just the head for some reason. I don't know if we get shown that here, but we have seen that what Shinra recovered of Jenova was everything but the head. If I were him, I'd take the whole body, right?
He's strong enough.
Yeah. And then he, after some, loud mouthing to Cloud, they square off, and Cloud picks a very interesting moment for his memory to run out.
Yeah.
Here.
One could even say they square Enix off.
Really fun the way they flash back and forth for Cloud's memory to just like cut out.
Yeah, it's like static on a TV with a bad antenna. And yeah, so Cloud, he's standing at the bottom of this like walkway up to Jenova where Sephiroth is. He's got his Buster Sword in like battle ready mode. Sephiroth, he's got his giant katana. It flashes between them, and then Cloud's like, and that's all for today.
Yeah.
And Aerith rightfully says, a lot of this doesn't make sense. I love Aerith because
this is weird.
She's a straight
so
shooter.
Great. Yeah.
She calls it like it is.
She's the best.
So
I think it's Red 13 that pointed out when I think it's first Tifa's like, well, it said in the newspaper that Sephiroth's dead. And I believe it's Red 13 that's like, well, you know who owns the newspaper? Is Shinra.
Folks, the mainstream media.
Don't trust the media.
The failing Midgar Times.
They say a lot of nasty things. They say a lot of nasty things about Sephiroth. We love him though, folks. Don't we love him?
I wanna share a little a fun project I undertook with a dear friend of mine about 15 years ago. I was working at a newspaper office, and one of my co-editors was a huge Final Fantasy VII fan, and we made our own mock-up of the Midgar Times.
Nice.
And it was our idea to tell the story of Final Fantasy VII through the Shinra propaganda filter.
Dude, you've got to play Crisis Core. It's so good. It's the Starship Troopers of video games.
Oh, cool. Man, what a fun movie that is too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss the subtext of Starship Troopers, that it's about fascism,
right, yeah.
And that like the bugs are the good guys.
Yeah,
and
even though Neil Patrick Harris shows up dressed as a Nazi doctor at the end.
SS, like he's like wearing the fucking black hat and everything. He's like, guys, great news! They're scared of us. And everyone's like, "Argh!" Paul Verhoeven rocks, man.
Yeah, he's the king.
What a fucking
all-time king,
chief. So everyone's feeling a little blue-balled by Cloud's storytelling right now, because they're like, you just stopped at the best part of the story. What do you mean that's all? Like, at that point, they go about their business. They're like, okay, well, anyway, meeting adjourned.
Yeah. And I'm not sure where, somewhere in town, does somebody send you to the mines, or I forget how we get our next directive. I do not recall. My memory picks back up. We're visiting Choco Billy.
Yeah,
at the Chocobo farm.
All that I know is that at this point the world map is we've got a lot of space to walk around, but not many places to go right now. The only places that you can enter at this point are the entryway to Midgar and Calm, and a little ranch that's through a little. You have to go through a little valley to get to Chocobo Ranch.
Yes, sir.
And the reason you want to visit Chocobo Ranch is because there's this swamp that is blocking the way to a caverns system that will take you further into the world map. And guarding that cavern or that swamp is something that we have not seen so far. It's a gigantic snake monster that is swimming at very high speed through the swamp, which is, if you try to traverse this swamp on foot, it will catch up with you. And this is actually, this is as close as I can think of the game getting to something that I really loved about Chrono Trigger, which is enemies have to encounter you in order to start a fight. You see them run up to you, and you can sometimes avoid them if you know how to do it right. Final Fantasy VII has invisible enemies that then initiate combat kind of on a random
we've kind of learned in the interim, do not do that. People hate it. That is not a very popular way to do turn-based combat anymore.
The Chrono Trigger method?
No, this method.
Oh, this method. Yeah.
We don't see enemies on screen.
So we learn a chocobo would be the best way to get across the swamp without incurring the wrath of the Midgar Zolom.
Yeah, man.
Did you give yourself a little chance to fight one of them just for funsies?
No, I kind of was like, I don't know why. I think I was just so underleveled. I was like, it'll kill me. I don't want to deal with it.
I actually held my own against a Midgar Zolom for a few turns.
Yeah.
What the Midgar Zolom, I mean, it's 3 stories tall. It is a gigantic snake. It looks like a giant cobra. It's got the hood of a cobra. It's very scary. I am scared of water dragons in general.
As we all are.
And the Midgar Zolom, if you are playing enemy skill collection,
you gotta hit that bad boy. You gotta hit up that Midgar Zolom.
He's got a fire all attack called Beta, which is aesthetically it's a nuclear blast.
Yeah, it's basically
a mushroom cloud.
It's like a insta kill of everything you will encounter through the rest of disc 1, unless it's resistant to fire.
It fucking rocks. The Midgar Zolom is one of my favorite enemies in the game in general. It's just so
it's cool,
so cool. But okay,
it's cool for both that. It's this thing that they put in your way that is like, this is going to stop you unless you really power level.
It's a skill check.
And then if we're ready to go on, we can discuss how they use it to tell the story of your enemy.
Let's briefly mention how chocobos work.
All right, hit it.
So you go to Chocobo Ranch. First and foremost, talk to the chocobos. They'll give you a summon materia. This is our first summon materia for the game. It is called is it Chocomog? The Chocomog summon. It's a wind elemental attack, which has very little effective use against enemies in terms of like being super effective.
It's kind of like Matra Magic in that it's good for...
It's a good attacking
all if you're not really worried about them having a lot of HP or them being resistant to wind. However, it takes so long to cast that why not just cast Matra Magic?
Yeah, sure. And it's a drain on MP as well. Summon Materia is a great... I mean, how long has Summon Materia been around in Final Fantasy games? Do they start that with 6?
I think 3.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 3 is when you can be a summoner or an evoker.
Ooh, what's an evoker do?
Just an advanced summoner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Chocomog, it's a Moogle.
A Moogle on a Chocobo.
A Moogle on a Chocobo. If you're unfamiliar with what a Moogle is, it's a little white cat with a red
Then why
antenna.
the F are you listening to this?
That's true. It's that thing it's that plushie you see on all those e-girls' keychains.
If only. I tell you what, I would have been chatting that girl up.
Yeah.
If she existed.
Yeah, you can donate to her OnlyFans. So
yeah, well, no, anyway.
But okay, Chocobos. They are giant ostrich chickens.
Again, why are you listening to this if you don't know that?
Because you like us, right? Okay, so you go to Chocobo Ranch and you talk to Choco Billy.
Choco Billy.
And
Choco Billy's Bible Bonkers.
Choco Billy is going to make a couple thousand gil off of you pretty easy.
I did not have the money. I had to go out and grind for it.
All you need at this point are you need the Chocobo lure materia. I think that costs you a clean 2 bills. And some Chocobo greens. What you do, you equip Chocobo lure, and on the world map, you'll see Chocobo bird footprints in the plains, in the grassy areas. And that is where you can hunt for Chocobos. And it's as simple as, it initiates a combat segment. A Chocobo will be accompanied by several beasts.
Yeah.
And later we'll talk about the importance of what beasts accompany what Chocobo, because that is how you can really maximize your Chocobo breeding, which is, we talked a little bit in the last episode about like how important breeding is to Final Fantasy VII. There's all sorts of like weird subtexts about like forced breeding. Hojo wanted to force breed Aerith with Red 13 and blah, 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 blah,
my
blah.
face right now is...
Yeah, well, we got to do some chicken eugenics later.
Yeah, so you get in fights with Chocobos. You can either murder them for their sweet bird meat, or you can help them, and then they'll help you back.
Do you actually get bird meat if you kill Chocobo? Oh, okay. I was like, I would eat a Chocobo. A Chocobo drumstick would be the size of like a guitar or a tennis racket, probably. That would rock.
Yeah, but
they're probably chewy.
If you don't want them to run away while you murder all the beasts around them, you throw them some greens.
Yeah, and while the Chocobo is eating the greens, you kill all the monsters around it. So don't use all materia. Don't use Matra Magic. Don't use a summon, because you'll just end up killing your Chocobo, or it'll run away. Can you actually kill a Chocobo, or does it just run away? I think it just runs away when you attack it. That'd be interesting, though. I'd love to kill a fucking Chocobo. Sorry. So, and then after you've defeated all the accompanying monsters, if the Chocobo is still around, you got yourself a Chocobo, and now you're riding it ostrich style.
Yeah, dude.
And then we get that great. Are you able to pipe in the Chocobo music?
I think so. Yeah, we got. It might be a little tricky to find, but we got it somewhere.
You got it, baby.
Let's see. Bird music. Oh, I scrolled past it. I'm talking over
Hell
it
yeah.
on the stream probably, actually, but I don't know. I don't know if it's playing or not.
The Chocobo theme rocks. It's like surf rock. Probably a decade ago, Junior Counselor Josh and I had the idea to do a 2-man Final Fantasy VII cover band.
Dude, I was on the idea of like sort of game music mashups into other genres, which is like huge now, especially like the sort of lo-fi thing.
Oh yeah.
I was way ahead of the curve on that. I wasn't skilled enough yet to do it well.
I just couldn't play the fucking Chocobo guitar riff.
But like in like 2009, I was playing with like sampling from, games and all kinds of stuff. So I was ahead of the curve. I missed it.
I would like to be included in this inclusion. We were ahead of the curve.
Oh no, I was doing other stuff even before we tried. But we did. We tried a little bit of let's make a band out of that. I don't know. Maybe we still should. I feel like we'd be better at it now. I don't know how much
I am not better at guitar from 9 years ago. But anyway, okay. Cloud, with his chocobo, is able to cross the swamp without incurring the wrath of the Midgar Zolom. What's the Zolom? That's an interesting word, too. It seems like biblical in terms. But, so they cross the swamp, and then we get to see one of the coolest visuals in the game. I think we've said that a couple times. This is the coolest part of the game.
Yeah. Well, this one is like...
This is painting a picture of how powerful Sephiroth is. This is showing, not telling.
Yeah.
This is showing how powerful Sephiroth is.
Yeah, it's very good showing that the Midgar Zolom that has... If you've tried to fight it, you've probably been KO'd by it.
Yes.
He single-handedly...
Impaled it on a tree.
Yeah. He's impaled it on a tree. There's blood everywhere. And everybody's a little spooked out. This is a really good moment in like you said, showing, not telling, that builds a sort of good suspense, a good like low grade sort of like horror element to the game that continues until we really get to know what's going on with Sephiroth more and more.
It's shocking. It comes kind of out of left field. And there's not too much on-screen violence in Final Fantasy VII in terms of bloodshed. I mean, sure, there's plenty of people getting stabbed and slashed and burned and punched and shot, but like in terms of blood, it's not too violent of a game. Mm-hmm. And this is some of that rare on-screen blood that is just it adds to the gravitas of the moment. And it's also a bunch of phallic stuff. We got a big old snake a snake is a phallic vagina, because the snake both penetrates and swallows.
I've never heard that before.
This is old mythology.
Lore, old magic.
Yeah, because the snake is hermaphroditic in nature. That is why it is so effective as being portrayed as a villain in characterization, because it can personify both male and female traits simultaneously.
Yeah. I'm digging around on like Zolom. The closest thing I can find is could be a derivative of Solomon, the king of Israel, the son of David. And then there's some made up definitions that I don't trust on websites with lots of pop-ups. One is definitions.net. The dictionary definitions page includes all the possible meanings, examples. What? No, there was something. It said something before all these pop-ups happened. Never mind. I give up. It said something about a jab. Anyway, I have not found the root of the etymology.
Phonetically, it's similar to slalom, which is like, something where you slide down a big luge and a snake slithers.
Yeah.
It also could be phonetically linked to the golem, which we've talked about in previous, where that was the monster made of clay. That was
sounds like an old Jewish monster like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they walk through this horror show of a dead Midgar Zolom, and they enter the caves where they encounter the Turks.
Yeah.
We meet Rude and Elena. What'd you say? Sorry.
It's just a very weird moment, especially Elena, who's like they're having this sort of friendly introduction, like, I'm the newest member of the Turks.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
She's been hired to replace Reno as he deals with his injuries from his fight with Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa. Mm-hmm. And Elena she's my favorite Turk at this point, just because she's kind of an aw shucks.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to like play the Turks game really. She's like super talented and like strong, but she's also like a bit of a klutz, or maybe a more of a ditz.
Yeah.
She spills the beans. She spills
That's exactly what I said when she says the line about like, we're going to Junon to chase some blah blah blah, and I was like, oops, you done spilled the beans, lady.
Yeah, I I'm a bit of an Elena. I cannot keep a secret, and I'm very like it's hard for me to even like consider keeping secrets because like they just like spill out. They spill out like blood from a wound. So Elena, she spills the beans, says that the Turks are on their way to the Junon harbor to chase Sephiroth. And the rest of the Turks, let's see, got Rude and Sang, and they're just like, Elena, bro, okay.
Yeah, she really blew it here. And then they just kind of let you go.
Yeah, for some reason they don't engage in combat, even though it's a fair fight. There's 3-on-3.
Yeah, why not just murder us there?
I do not know because the game had to happen, I guess. In this cave system, you can find long range materia, which is quite useful, especially if you have Barrett in your team equipped with the cannonball arm, which is an item that you can find, which is Barrett's first short range weapon. It replaces his gun arm with the big old
mashing ball.
It's
just mash you over the head.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah, it seems like a really good way to accidentally give I guess the gun, no matter what's on that arm, seems like a good way to accidentally give him self a concussion.
The cave, nothing much of consequence in there.
Yeah, this cave sucks. Let's move on.
I hate that cave too, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like this whole stretch of the game from Calm to Junon is just a little odd. It's a beautifully paced game. And the point of this was to sort of like slow you down and let the massive lore dump you just went through sit with you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a tiny bit of a slog. You can go to
Fort Condor.
Fort Condor. I don't even really want to spend much time on because there's a moment it comes up that it matters to the story later.
when you approach Fort Condor, the game basically outright suggests you return later.
Yeah.
Which I took that advice. I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with Fort Condor right now.
Well, I was there and they're like, hey, can you help us? It costs a ton of money, or like at first there's like, yeah, you'll need to like help us buy soldiers or whatever. Then I was like, sure, I'll do it. And then like, I was like, I don't have nearly the money you want. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
No, screw you guys.
We'll return to Fort Condor in a later episode.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of my favorite little mini game sections.
It's a nicely designed mini game. And they already put something like it in the DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is interesting. There's like you have to like progress through it to get some reward by becoming like the champion of this mini game that like the people of the slums play. That's basically that game.
Cool.
So yeah, did you stop to get Yuffie here?
No, I have not procured my favorite ninja girl yet.
All right.
Maybe next episode.
Yeah, we can wait till you get her to talk about her and move on to Junon.
Yes. So we'll start in Under Junon, where it's a little village underneath this massive military base outside of Midgar. It's the largest settlement that we've seen so far.
Well, it's like another sort of Shinra military city.
Yeah.
And they really hate subtlety, the Shinra. They love to build everything where the poor people live literally physically below the wealthy people.
Yeah. When you said they hate subtlety, I thought you meant the giant penis gun on the...
Well, there's that too.
There's a mass... Like, Junon is built around a cannon that is as large as a skyscraper.
Yeah, so I mean, in regards to like lore and why that would exist, it's a little odd.
Yeah,
because their enemies up to this point that we know, and so far back as like the world building goes, are the Wutai, which are the other side of the world.
Yeah,
you would build it way closer if it was a defensive thing against the nation of Wutai.
Yeah, and to consider also where the cannon is pointed right now
is at a little coastal beach town we'll get to soon.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So okay, you entered Under Junon, and it's a pretty humble little village. There's some It's old world looking. It's like brick and wooden houses. A departure from Midgar for sure. More in line with Calm's aesthetic than it is Midgar's aesthetic. And the gang is like led to a beach where they find a little girl named Priscilla. And Priscilla has a best friend named Mr. Dolphin.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all have a best friend that's a dolphin?
And
a water dragon shows up after we're introduced to Priscilla and her dolphin.
Yes, and this dragon just knocks Priscilla out, and she is at risk of drowning. This dragon's name is Bottom Swell. That's what happens when I eat too much chocolate.
Yum. Yum. Yeah.
It's a flying water dragon. So you want to equip Cloud with that long range materia that we picked up in the Mithril Mines.
Can you still attack it if you're using that?
If you have long range materia equipped, you can attack it. Otherwise, short range attacks cannot do it. You got to use magic, summons, anything else.
Yeah, I was not really paying attention, and I like kept trying to steal from it and kept attacking and be like, what? Oh wait, yeah, like remembering. Oh yeah, I can't reach. I gotta do something about that.
And I think to save you a little bit of grief moving on, most bosses do not have stealable items.
Oh, that's good to know.
According to my official strategy guide by David Cassidy. Bottom Swell, pretty unremarkable boss fight. It's a cool looking water dragon. It's got these like weird googly eyes. It seems more insect than reptile, but it does an attack that's very similar to Reno's pyramid attack. In that it encapsulates one of your team members in a bubble, but unlike Reno's pyramid attack, you can only pop the bubbles using magic. You can't use an attack to do it.
That's the thing I did not know when I was doing this fight. I think I did it multiple times. I'd attack first, be like, wait, it's still there.
Yeah.
Just need to do more damage.
You're
and
just
then
attacking.
By coincidence, the next thing I used was magic, and it worked.
Nice. So yeah, it's got 2,500 HP. It's not too big of a deal compared to other bosses you fought. I mean, good lord, what's a Midgar Zolem's HP? I think it's around the same as the Bottom Swell. I'm gonna look it up in my bestiary. The Midgar Zolem has, holy shit, 4,000 HP, whereas the Bottom Swell has 25. Yeah,
a bit of a beefier boy.
Midgar Zolem is definitely there as a skill check, as a barrier, really. So, upon defeating Bottom Swell, we are now left to deal with a unconscious Priscilla, and this is where we get to play the
weirdest mini game ever made.
The CPR game?
Welcome to the CPR mini game. And there's very little direction about the what, why, or how of it.
Yeah.
You just have Cloud just open up his lungs and breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe. And then you push it into her, and eventually, I don't know, like, I've never tried, like, if you don't take deep breaths, like, if you just keep putting short breaths into her, will she eventually come around? But, like, it'll take longer? I have no idea.
I don't think this game's going to outright kill a child. Although they did kill so many children in Sector 7. Like, we know children died there.
Yeah.
But we didn't see it happen, so therefore, our hands...
As long as it's off screen, you can kill as many kids as you want.
So, we save Priscilla. She goes back to her home.
Mm-hmm.
The gang gets invited to sleep over at a grandma's house under Junon in her nice little cottage. And
grandma hovel.
In the middle of the night, Cloud is awoken with some psychic worry, maybe some intrusive thoughts, where he's doubting his Nibelheim memory. It's the same dialogue that we have anytime he has a flashback. It's like this inner monologue is like, what are you doing? Why is this happening? Do you remember this right? What's going on? It's almost like it's like his buried ego. Man, I wish I was smarter so I could talk about like consciousness and like the meaning of like having lucid thoughts versus like operating on a more primal level, because like Cloud seems to be skirting a lot of these edges.
Yeah.
Where he like just buried right underneath his psyche. I mean, we could get in some like Jungian discussion here about like the collective consciousness and like how, you know, the mind already has all the information it needs. It just needs to unlock it somehow.
Yeah, there's some more modern thought around this that you could apply here. That I know this from just doing this type of therapy. It's called EMDR therapy, where
what do those letters stand for?
Eye movement back it up. Eye movement desensitization and replacement.
Okay.
And what you do is and the theory behind it is that like PTSD is caused by repression of traumatic memories, and then like in moments of
intense stress, your brain thinks
moments of stress or
it's going into fight or flight again.
Yes, when you go into fight, flight, or freeze, your body relives it.
Yeah,
and that's what PTSD is,
as if it's actually happening again. The thing that you've survived.
Yeah. So the way it can kind of apply here is like the way they just explain it is like those memories live. If like your brain has like the prefrontal cortex is like your conscious mind where your thoughts happen, and then there's like two lower levels, and that like those memories live in the lowest level because you're purposely suppressing them because they're awful. And so what they do is they stimulate your brain bilaterally. That's where the eye movement comes in.
Yeah.
To bring those memories up front, and like you do it with a therapist in a environment where the therapist can like force you to like live through it, and then reteach your brain that like, okay, you're not in that anymore, and then it's gone. So it's like Cloud's brain has sort of like, put everything at the very bottom and replaced it with something more pleasant or like easier to understand.
Yeah.
Is kind of the way this would work.
What strain of weed helps with that?
I mean, technically they all are like, I could go on about that for a while. Because I think there is potential there. And this is like what people talk about with like ayahuasca, I think, is like sort of a shortcut to this type of work. Because like the way EMDR works is like once you bring that stuff up and you reckon with it, it's crazy. Like the thing that like would trigger you before, like 2 weeks later, it just won't. It's the wildest thing I've ever done. It's so crazy.
Thank you for that insight. That's really great.
And like Cloud actually kind of later in the game will experience something similar.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I think I know what part you're talking about too. That seems very much linked with like the brain's like deep sleep of REM, like rapid eye movement.
Oh yeah, like REM sleep is tied into this, which is why weed's not great. Weed decreases REM sleep. And when you do one of these therapies, you will have wild dreams for like a couple days, depending on like kind of how severe it was. There's like theories that REM sleep and dreaming is where and when your brain processes stuff like this to deal with it and like put it aside.
Yeah, coming to grips with what's happened and like processing it in a safe environment as it is.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Try not to get too high too late at night or depend on weed for sleep. That's my unsolicited, undoctoral advice.
I can't sleep if I smoke weed too late at night. It's a stimulant too. Like it like gets your blood pressure going and like my heart rate up a little bit.
I try to cut myself off by like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Some days I miss it.
It's like how I stopped drinking coffee at 3 p.m. just to like not fuck with myself. I try to. I think 9 p.m. is a pretty good cutoff if I want to get to sleep by like 11 midnight ish. But
so yeah, like it feels like these moments Cloud's having is like it's like that voice, that memory coming up and wanting to be like, hey, I need some attention here. And he's like, no, this is the narrative I've formed. It
Indica,
works for me.
Indica,
Leave me alone.
So it's super effective. Oh, man, thanks for that insight. That's good stuff. That next morning, Tifa is confronting Cloud about the story, right? That about the story he just told. She's shedding some doubt on the narrative, but after Cloud gets his good night's rest, we wake up to the sound of Shinra's march music.
Yeah, this is a very weirdly staged, blocked, whatever you want to call it, moment in the game, because we hear the march music, and is everybody responding to it at this point? Everybody's just like so invested in Priscilla, and we're hearing this very proud march music. And then she literally does march down from these 2 flights of stairs. Yeah. That it feels like this music's being played for this little girl we've had 1-2 minute conversation with. It's very weird. But she comes down. She's like, I'm alive. Here's some summon materia.
She gives you Shiva.
Yeah.
Shiva. A nice ice elemental attack. Also, jack-off fodder for young Sean. Sorry, everybody, but there is a female figure that is slightly nude, and I can't make it up.
Well, she gets more and more naked up through Final Fantasy 15, and then they dialed it back in 16.
By Final Fantasy 15, I have moved on from JO into PlayStation stuff.
By 2016, you found other ways to...
I found a wife.
It's good stuff if you're 12 years old and don't have much internet and the internet's slow. Anyway, we find out that we think we need to go topside to keep chasing Sephiroth, and that Rufus, the president, is in town, and it's like, oh, dude, maybe you could finish him off, Cloud. We come up with this theory that if Cloud rides the dolphin to the top of the tower... if the dolphin jumps Cloud up to the tower, somehow that will get everybody else in. You don't do any work to let anybody in. Nope. It's just everybody can get in as long as Cloud can get up.
Oh, he's got his handy dandy PHS.
And somehow that will get everybody else on the surface.
Yeah, I forget if we mentioned the PHS in the last episode, but that's just their like cell phone or something that like Cloud can call the rest of the gang and reconvene and do all their party management stuff on the fly.
One really fun thing is like when you decide you need to go ride the dolphin. Ride the dolphin, dude.
What strain is that?
I'm trying to ride the dolphin. How do I get that high? But everybody nominates Cloud and does this cute little walk away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, sounds like a job for Cloud. See ya.
Well, you're in charge, right?
Yeah. Well. It's just like, screw it. We'll figure it out on our own. You go down and you meet with Priscilla, who gives you a whistle to summon Mr. Dolphin.
That you only use this once in the entire game. Yeah. It'd be great if you could use Mr. Dolphin as a vehicle before you get anything else.
I hope they make more use out of him in Rebirth.
That would be great.
I also assume they will resolve how everybody else gets up. I wouldn't be surprised if they split up the party and like make you do that.
Yeah.
Because it is odd, and I'm very curious to see how Cloud rides the dolphin.
Oh, yeah. I hope he rides it like he rode Barrett's bicep when they swung out of Midgar.
Yeah.
When they were on that crane hook.
Oh, there's a few, like, pretty great how are they going to deal with this elements that are coming up, both in our playthrough and in that game.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. Cloud, he summons Mr. Dolphin with a whistle, and... after some trial and error, Mr. Dolphin is able to propel Cloud up onto a rafter of this like crane setup that's in the water.
Yeah. It's just like a girder that's holding up, the town.
Oh,
like
sure.
Part,
yeah. It looks kind of like a radio tower.
By the way, did you say trial and error? Because I would invite people to go to youtube.com and search for Camp Video Games and watch me do it in one try.
Hell yeah, bro.
What kind of error are we talking about?
My own human error.
Yeah. But as we finish climbing the tower,
got a fun little FMV of Cloud laying his eyes on the mighty Highwind airship for the first time.
Yeah,
and Lord, that's a cool ship.
Yeah, there's a fun little detail that as you climb up to this heliport or whatever, there's like deep in the background of the mix, there's some kind of voiceover that's like mission control, mission, blah, blah, blah. It's just like some generic loop they found that plays a couple times. Just a fun little fact I learned from playing the game with big old headphones for the first time. Also, when you are running around the deck here, this is a fun place to also reminisce back to the PC version that I played. You have to go and hit this treasure chest. I don't know if they just didn't have anything else obvious enough for you to hit.
It stands out pretty distinctly from the pre-rendered background as being one of those 3D models as opposed to a hand-drawn model.
Yeah. When you would hit this in the PC version, if you did not have a good graphics card, the game had about a 50% chance of freezing.
Oh my God.
I think it was because of these moments where the 3D models, you could still control what you're doing while an FMV is playing, and it was just like, nope, can't do it.
Error. Hopefully, campers, you have a video card at this point.
Get a Voodoo 2 graphics card, 8 megabit processor on that bad boy. It's going to help you out.
The cheapest cell phone on the market has more processing power than Junior Counselor Josh's PC at the time.
It has 1,000,000 times more processing power.
And again, and I think you said this too, we both have Final Fantasy VII on our cell phones.
Right.
That's for rainy days when I'm stuck in traffic or I'm buried under some rubble after the eventual nuclear war.
Let me reiterate. The graphics card that was recommended for this game that I eventually got, 8 megabit memory to process graphics.
Sounds impressive.
Not gigabit, megabit.
That sounds impressive to my cretin brain. Inside the Junon military base, Cloud is mistaken for a Shinra guard who's out of uniform. So they're like, quick, get dressed. We've got a show to put on.
Yeah. We're putting on a big show for the president.
The new president's in town, and he's evil as shit.
And he just wants you to dance and march for him.
This brings us to the Junon Cannon military procession march. Game.
Nobody understands how to do this without failing. I've no idea. No idea what you're supposed to do here when you are supposed to get in line with the march.
It's a mess. There's two segments where you have to do some rhythm game style inputs. First,
the Simon Says stuff, easy peasy.
Oh yeah.
Getting in line with the military march,
impossible.
Who knows?
I would love to see someone do it perfectly on their first playthrough. But
that's literally never happened in the history
I
of
believe
this game. We get our big gunshot here.
Oh yeah, that's the Junon Cannon. It is.
We get a minute-long FMV of just showing us how big the swinging dick and hard it is of this town.
It's always hard. It's always erect. It's always pointing. Yeah, when I get a boner, it's not 90 degrees pointing out. It's whatever. Rufus, the new president of Shinra, and Heidegger.
Well, hold on. Before we go to them, can we talk? I just want to say one quick thing about the mini game is when you fail, which everybody does, right? The announcer. When the announcers start talking amongst themselves, I presume still live on television.
Yeah.
And they're like, what was that guy in the background doing? Send him a grenade.
Yes.
They basically tell you to kill yourself. They're like, that guy sucks so bad. Let's encourage him to kill himself.
Why don't you go ahead and just sit on this grenade?
It's so good. It's impossible.
Yeah,
hilarious.
The live TV ratings percentage is your score on how well you're doing in this march.
It's only going to go down.
I would think people would be delighted by some doofus screwing up the formation.
Right. nowadays people would meme the crap out of it. You're left shark at this point. You're doing your own thing. You're going your own way.
There's like or it's like, Justin Timberlake ripping off Janet Jackson's top at the Super Bowl. It's like people love unscripted goof 'em ups.
Yeah.
But then we have the military DDR game where someone's whistling orders at you and you gotta stay in formation and do all of the different commands that they give you as you do put on a show for Rufus and Heidegger. I actually
I didn't miss shit on this one.
I did great on this one, and you can win a pretty good sword for Cloud at this point, the Force Stealer sword, which gives you double AP.
Yeah, dude, you gotta hang on to those bad boys.
This stuff gets important later in the game. AP is the experience point for your materia. So the faster you gain AP, the faster your magic will level up. Therefore, it'll become more powerful, and you'll eventually be able to master materia, which will then duplicate it and give you like the best maximum output from each piece of materia that you are able to master.
Yeah.
The Force Stealer gives you double AP. Therefore, my brain that likes the big numbers, especially the leveling up numbers.
Always equip them.
Equip that stuff. The only downside to the Force Stealer, I believe it has 4 materia slots. None of them are connected.
Right.
So all materia or any support materia is kind of rendered useless. You can still level stuff up with it, but it just won't have the desired effect during combat.
Yeah. That's
not a big deal, but
well, you're about to go through like a section of the game where you have the option to equip everybody with double growth.
That's right.
Weapons and armor, but you have to make that trade-off. Couple just quick things in the town of Junon.
Oh, yeah. You can go off and like explore the shops and such.
So you can go through most of Junon right now. It's a little tedious with that music playing, but I did it so that I would know. But you can find Rude in the basement of a bar, ostensibly gambling. I think they're trying to show you like, oh, these guys are a little dirty,
dice.
Right? But the craziest thing in Junon, I just discovered this playthrough. I don't know if I'll be able to find it on the video efficiently, but I'll try. Baby. If you go into the basement of another building, because there's just like a lot of building here.
Yeah. There's shops, there's random places that you can just stop through.
But one of them has a like more advanced tutorial room. And it's very bizarre. It's called the Respectable Inn. And there's these 3 ghosts that you can talk to do tutorial stuff. And what I discerned from their like opening whatever dialogue box that they use when you talk to them is these are supposed to be the ghosts of the guys from the tutorial room in Sector 7.
That's right, above the weapons shop.
Yeah.
Why they're at Junon Harbor and why their spirits are linked to giving Cloud tutorials is beyond me.
So I guess they're just haunting Junon where there's a density of soldiers is what they've done. I just never noticed this until now. You can also get a second Emmy skill materia down there for whatever reason, but fun little thing that I discovered for the first time this playthrough.
Junon Harbor is one of the areas that I tried to rush through as quickly as possible. There is some good materia that can be had there, and some items that are worth stopping for.
But nothing missable, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah, so
that was the only fun stuff.
Talking with some of the soldiers before your goal now is to follow Rufus and Heidegger and get on a boat that's going to cross the ocean to the next continent. But we learn that Hojo has resigned from Shinra.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting choice.
Just a little soldier gossip right there.
Yeah.
But then we get on a boat.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
boat,
we go on a boat.
some important stuff happens at this boat.
Mostly Barrett dresses adorably.
He dresses like a marshmallow.
Yeah. Barrett dresses like a marshmallow. Red 13 is trying to pretend he's a human and dancing on his hind legs, which is very cute as well.
He ain't fooling nobody.
Yeah. And this is like right before we get on the boat, we see the rest of our gang scuttle on. How they got there, who knows? Maybe we'll find out in about 2 weeks.
Maybe Barrett has a grapple hook gun on his arm.
Yeah. So you can run around the boat. There's other than like if you have Yuffie, this is where you can first learn about her motion sickness.
Oh, that's right. That gets important later too.
She's down in the hole being dizzy.
And the advice that Cloud gives her for motion sickness later actually reveals some really important insight in his backstory later. It's like a weird little hidden nugget that we'll get to later.
That is a very astute observation.
So, yeah, right now, the whole gang, we're stowing away. We're stowing away on a boat, and eventually, after you've talked with everybody, there's a big red alert. We got to stow away on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
turns out it's not us.
It's not the gang. It's not the gang that they've noticed. It's someone else. Basically, the shit turns for the worst after the stowaway alert goes off. And this is an important item that you can buy on the deck of the boat. The sailor will sell you an invisible alpha, which is it restores your party's HP and MP. It's like a mega elixir.
What?
Yeah, it's just a random item that you can buy from one of the sailors.
So, yeah, everybody meets up and is like, I guess they didn't find us, and they determine it must have been Sephiroth. And then we run down to the hole, and we will see
a bunch of dead sailors and some dead cops.
Pile of dead bodies, and eventually we'll come to a room deep in the hole where a ghostly Sephiroth will rise out of the ground.
It's quite creepy. Yeah, Sephiroth. He emerges. He's like translucent, and he says, "It's time." And then we get propelled into a boss fight with Jenova.
Yes.
This is Jenova Birth is the name of this boss. She has 4,000 HP, and it's a large enemy on the screen. She's twice as tall as your characters, maybe 3 times even. And Jenova's I think her most important attack that will come into play a lot later is stop. She casts stop on your crew, and it works like the bubble or the pyramid, except that it can only be cured with a particular item or spell.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks. I hate the stop attack. that always pisses me off so much. But
there's some interesting story lore elements to this unravel here that fun. That this first big Jenova boss we fight is named Birth. Incidentally, the new game coming out probably in a couple weeks, Rebirth. So I don't know what's gonna happen with this moment. I have a feeling it's going to be a big sort of act breaky event. But in the original game, Sephiroth, you could see just a flash of it. It's like he threw a alien body part at you, and that's what this monster spawns from. So
it's Jenova's left arm.
Yeah, we suspect these are body parts of Jenova. I am curious the depth to which they might do like a little bit of retcon. If I recall, like in Remake, it seems like these Jenova monsters and the black-caped men and Sephiroth are sort of all one and the same.
Yes.
Is the impression I'm getting. And I don't know if how canon that is or how much deeper that might be established when we get to this point in the next game.
Has it been disclosed about this guy R6 being a black caped person at this point? That might be talking out of school right now.
Forget. So what happens in Remake is instead of that happening in Sector 5, Cloud is given an apartment in Sector 7, and golly gee, his next door neighbor is one of those guys.
Interesting.
And when he goes next door, he sees Sephiroth.
Oh, creepy.
In the little apartment, I believe, and he tries to attack him, and then I think Tifa finds him. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, Cloud, what are you doing? That's just this weird guy who's sick, that lives here. Leave him alone, or something like that. It's one of those black caped tattooed guys.
Campers, if you'd like to make any corrections or clarifications, please leave it in the comments, or maybe send us an email, campvideogames@gmail.com. And just a reminder, if you'd like to see the full playthrough of Josh's campaign, why don't you go ahead and join us over at patreon.com/campvideogames. And we would truly appreciate to have you join us along on this wild ride.
Yeah. This guy are sick, though. If we didn't say in that episode where we talked about it, he has a tattoo. I want to say he's number 2.
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So he is definitely one of those guys.
So after defeating Genova Birth, you'll receive a white cape. I believe that's an accessory that it negates poison, I believe. It protects against frog and small, which are actually for the battle arena. This is a very important accessory to have, the white cape. Because
you can get frogged and smalled.
Frog and small. Yeah. We'll get to that. Not in this episode, but maybe a little bit later. After you've defeated Genova Birth, go ahead and pick up the red materia that's left behind. That's another summon. We got Ifrit.
Yes, sir.
And he is a big old demon that causes fire damage. I have not played any Final Fantasies past 9 at this point, but I remember thinking in Final Fantasy VIII that Ifrit was the coolest motherfucker, because that's the first mission you go on in Final Fantasy VIII. It's to recover the Ifrit summon materia. Mm-hmm. It's super cool, and it's just a nice upgraded. I remember, very quick sidebar, I remember back in my day, Pizza Hut used to have PlayStation demo discs that would be included.
Dude, hell yeah.
With you'd get a big old pizza and maybe a 2-liter of Pepsi, and then you get a PlayStation demo disc and had demos of several games. The one that I got had a demo of Final Fantasy VIII, and it had the first
Take me
mission.
Back.
It was mind blowing because it had these FMV cinematics. It had, the graphics of Final Fantasy VII are arguably superior to Final Fantasy VII. Did I say that same number twice? Final Fantasy VIII looks a hell of a lot better than Final Fantasy VII in terms of PlayStation 1 era graphics. Mm-hmm. Not to say that I like them more, but that they are a bit more refined and consistent compared to Final Fantasy VII. And just playing that demo disc, it was a Friday night. I had my friends over. We were eating pizza.
Dude, remember when Pizza Hut pizza wasn't just frozen trash that they heated up?
Pizza
they actually
Hut
made pizzas.
Used to be the best.
It was so good.
They had that there's Sicilian style like deep dish pizza with that like crispy cast iron.
Yeah.
Oof, marron.
So we make it to the other side. We make it to a new continent. We pull up to Costa del Sol, Coast of the Sun. We love it here, folks.
I love the Costa del Sol theme music. It is something that I have listened to for hours and hours at a time. It is madness. It is so chill. It's like a samba beat, I think. I'm not too up to speed on Latin music, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's very calming. It's very tropical. It's got some Yeah, it's got that rhythm, baby. It's got that rhythm that I just can't refuse. Upon landing at Costa del Sol, Rufus belittles Heidegger for
dude, this is so good
because they if you want to look at Shinra operations from Rufus's perspective as the new president, Shinra is not doing a very good job right now. In terms of being like the world government that is in charge of every facet of like civilized life, they can't do shit.
For my succession heads, it's a little like the kids taking over the company. They don't know how to run it. It's very, very much the same vibe.
Rufus is like kind of like he's berating Heidegger. He's like, so you mean to tell me that Sephiroth was on the boat with us
and we blew it?
And you also want to tell me that like Avalanche was on the boat with us?
Yeah, we are bad at this. The Turks are not good at their job, is what we learned there.
Yeah. So Heidegger, his way of dealing with being reprimanded is
so
to just
good, dude.
Beat the shit out of anybody nearby. It rocks.
It's like something out of like a Scorsese film of like somebody was just belittled and they need to just like get their power back.
That's
and they
right.
just beat the hell out of a subordinate.
That's right.
That's so good that they use that in this game.
So Costa del Sol, it's a beautiful tropical coastal town. Or maybe not tropical is the right word, but no, I think that's right. It's a beautiful area. It's like you go to Costa del Sol, there's trees, there's water, there's fresh air, there's beautiful blue skies.
You can kick a soccer ball at a cat dog.
You can
That's what happens if you there's a soccer ball, if you kick it, it just repeatedly blasts Red 13 in the face.
That's a shame. Now I met a character in one of the hotel rooms underneath the bar. His name is Johnny. Did you have a talk with this guy named Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny's our friend from back in Midgar. We've met Johnny a couple times. We met him in Sector 7. We met him in Wall Market outside the Honeybee Inn. Oh, Johnny's our buddy.
I didn't realize he was like
or
a
he
recurring
thinks he's
character.
Our buddy. Yeah.
Well, so Johnny remembers you from soldier days.
Yeah.
He's like trying to put his soldier days behind him. But if you ask who he is, he decides to act like he doesn't know you at this point. He's like, you know what? I don't need to deal with this. Like, you seem to be doing something that I don't want anything to do with.
Yeah.
It's interesting just because he's like, wait, are you from Soldier? I don't know if I recognize you or not. I don't want to talk about it. And so Cloud just goes on his way, and it's just it's adding a little check mark next to curious.
Yeah. And the other thing we need to do while we are in Costa del Sol is head to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And what are we going to do at the beach? We're going to meet Professor Hojo, recently retired, lounging with a couple women and in his full lab coat.
He's suntanning in a lab coat because they only had one character model and they didn't want to bother.
And
he's got babes all around him, and I assume they're on the clock. And
right. That's definitely alluded to.
He is not a charming man.
No, not a fun man to be around.
But a suntanner that you can talk to mentions that a man in black cape came from the ocean and was heading to Gold Saucer. But you want to talk about what Hojo says here when you meet him here on the beach?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he says, other than like he's just like, I'm retired, I don't care about you anymore. I don't recall. He's first, he's like, I remember you, and then he recognizes Cloud, and then he's
just like, sometimes you just got to go to the beach and fuck off.
Like he kind of just wants to be left alone, but Cloud's kind of demanding answers and is like, nope, you just if you want to follow Sephiroth, this is where he drops Reunion, right? Is that where we get the first mention of it? I think so. Hold on. We're just stalling because it's on the screen, and I'm waiting to see if Hojo mentions the Reunion I'm pretty sure he says it at the end of the conversation. After Cloud is just like, demand an answer. He's like, this is none of my business. I'm retired. I'm on vacation. But he's like, but if you want, you can go to the reunion. And I believe that's the gist of it.
I actually missed this conversation with Hojo in my playthrough. I don't know how.
You must not have gone to the beach.
You know, I'm not much of a beach person in general. I have very fair skin, and the beach is just pretty much like a death sentence.
I mean, look at Hojo. He's a little cretin. He's a goblin, a golem. And he went to the beach. He didn't seem to get burnt too bad. But yeah, he's just rambling about the Aerith's and Ancient and just like poking the party for the most part.
Yeah, he's playing aloof, a little hard to decipher, and he's not interested in making friends or in escalating any conflicts right now. He's just trying to get suntan. I don't know. He's like respectfully, could you please fuck off? I'm trying to get a suntan.
Oh, okay. I've got the thing he gives you is head west past Mount Coral and keep going. He doesn't mention reunion, but he's like mumble. I'm gonna keep pushing you along because what that does tell us is like he knows more about Cloud than he's leading on.
That's right.
That's the big important takeaway.
And it's I think we're led to believe that like Hojo is directly responsible for the Mako infusion of soldiers. That's in his department.
Mm-hmm.
That was in his department at Shinra Inc. So from the environmental clues that we can get at Costa del Sol, we need to head to Gold Saucer.
Yay!
To the west.
Yes, and the next part coming up is a very big deal for me because the way the PC demo of the game works is this Mount Coral? Is that the name of
Mount
the
Coral.
area? It dropped you off in just that first screen with no context.
Weird.
And you just play that portion.
Like the train tracks?
The bottom of the mountain where you meet the guy who's like, "Hello, fellow traveler.
Yeah.
You should be friendly to people on the road." And it opens with that music. I want to say it's Ahead on Our Way. Is that the name? I don't know. But good God, what a way to be introduced to this game. This just lovely, scenic little mountain.
What a
that
weird
you just traverse along.
What a weird place to start.
Yeah, it's a bizarre place, but
like,
it's so deeply ingrained into my brain now.
The first Mako reactor seems like the logical,
like the opening of the game.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
Very
and I don't think the original PlayStation demo was that. Either.
Yeah,
Somebody
I'm
tell
pretty
me
sure it was the
they
first Mako
played it.
reactor.
It was? I don't know. I never played it.
Fairly certain. The gang heads off from Costa del Sol, and they head to Mount Coral, and subsequently the Gold Saucer.
Yes.
Now, Mount Coral has an old Mako reactor with train tracks all around. And right now we're just passing through it. We don't need to do anything with this old Mako reactor. But as we traverse the train tracks, it introduces a falling down game.
Yeah, dude. I love this. This is another very odd thing to play without the proper graphics card on the PC version. I want to say in this part, like what would happen was like you would fall, like it would show your character model falling, but the FMV wouldn't play or vice versa. And again, like you get dropped into this and you have not played the rest of the game up to this point.
That's such a weird place to start.
Yeah, there's no context for anything you're doing. And it's just like you fall and it's like swim for the treasure.
Yeah.
And you only, what do you get, 3 chances at this?
I believe that's right, yeah.
And you have no idea. It's like, is this good? Is this bad that this is happening? I don't understand. And you just go and it's like swim. But luckily I did get the wizard staff my second fall, which is I think is the good prize, right?
The wizard staff, yeah, that's Aerith's 2 times AP materia growth weapon.
Yeah.
I want to also talk about just because I've been stealing and enemy materiaing. Near the Mako reactor, there's a creature called the Bagnadrana, and it looks like a turtle monster with a long neck and a tail.
Was I supposed to steal from that?
Yeah, you can steal a diamond pin from it, which is a pretty good Red 13 weapon.
God darn it.
And it's also pretty valuable. So I stole a couple of I'm wasting a lot of time. Okay, hold on. Correction. I am enjoying a lot of time stealing items from enemies. The only problem with stealing is that it's tedious. It takes a while. Like, it's not like you just get stuff on your first attempt to steal. I think at this point, Tifa is my thief character. Because I believe, and I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe dexterity affects your steal success rate. In my party, Tifa has the highest dexterity. I think Red 13 technically has higher dexterity than Tifa, which I switch up my party at some point. But look out for the turtle monster and steal some diamond pins from it.
I don't know. I don't know how much this is nostalgia goggles, but there's a lot of just lovely elements of the game in this section. One that I really like is when you have to split up. Like, you meet your party halfway, so you get this sense of like, we're all on this adventure. Everybody's traveling together.
Love that.
And when you have to try cross this bridge to help everybody else across, you get them like cheering for you and telling you where to go, which is really nice.
I finally have friends.
Yeah. And then there's this really lovely screen after you steal from some birds.
You stole that?
Oh, yeah, dude.
My
I
God.
got 10 Phoenix Downs out of it.
You're a fucking monster.
I got to steal from birds.
They need those Phoenix Downs to keep the babies safe.
Yeah.
Even, I think Aerith is just like, oh, Cloud. That sucks.
Well, that's the thing is I had Aerith in my party, and I was like, is this going to make my date score with her go down if she watches me steal? Like, I really want to see somebody who's mapped all of this out. Like, how you gain and lose points on that. But anyway.
Tim Rogers, please give us an 18-hour video on that, please.
Please do the research. I'm sure somebody's done it. I'm sure you can find it online. I just need to Google it. But I really, really love the screen where you run across the bridge at the camera.
Oh yeah.
And they do this little shake of the camera.
Yeah, it's like
to make the bridge rattle.
It's like a handheld camera effect.
Yeah, it's just a lovely little trick to do.
I noticed anytime your character is on a rope bridge, the enemy you're most likely to encounter is a bomb.
Oh, interesting.
It's like that's. I think this is like rope bridges are the only place you encounter bombs, perhaps.
Yeah, like they're just laying in wait. That's a good way to expend themselves to murder some humans.
Yeah. Bombs are tedious enemies because if you don't do enough damage to them before they make up their mind, they will detonate themselves and kill you, or not kill your party, but they'll deal some pretty massive damage to your party if you can't shut them down quickly.
Yeah.
Just use some ice attacks. That's super effective against them. I feel like at this point, your characters should have Ice 2, maybe a little Ice 2 and a little Shiva back and forth is enough to do it. I think you, in the playthrough I just watched of you doing it, you used Ice 2 and Bolt 2, and that was enough for it. So good on you.
Yeah. And then once we reach the end of the tracks, we are in
North.
What's left of Corel.
Yes.
And everybody immediately, Barrett steps out, and everybody there is immediately bothered by his presence. And we get the reason why Barrett both hates Shinra and why these people here hate
him.
Barrett.
Yes.
He has been through the ringer with Shinra.
North Coral is like the West Virginia
Yeah.
of this world. Good. Maybe a question you have an answer to. Does this planet have a name? Is it just the
I think
planet?
I've seen it called Gaia.
Gaia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Don't quote me on if that's canon, but I feel like I've seen that. One, Barrett gets called a techno freak, which is very funny. But what you said about like it's like a West Virginia town, like I don't know like if there's another sort of cultural reference for this, but like for me as an American and living right next door to Appalachia, I was like they captured this really well. If that's what they're going for, this like decline of this type of area because of a transition away from. Do they even say coal was what they were there for?
It's a destroyed coal town. They were coal miners before the Shinra came in and kind of strong-armed them into hosting a Mako reactor.
Yeah, and like this is a fun thing because like this is something that's happening in Appalachia now. Is like developers or like Silicon Valley venture capitalist types are going into these places that used to be coal areas, and they're like, we're going to bring in the hot new technology that's going to lift up the blah, blah, blah of your area. And then they just like, don't do shit.
All they end up really getting is a Walmart supercenter.
They'd end up just making it worse.
Yeah.
There's like one that's some farm, like some like massive greenhouse farming that was supposed to like make a lot of jobs. That's just like gone to shit in the last 5 years since they came in. And it's like, wow, that's the story being told in this game from 1997 by a Japanese developer. Yeah. It's crazy. So like, I don't know if they have their own precedent for that kind of history, but captured very well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you talk with some NPCs throughout Midgar and leading up to Calm and here, and they all talk about how like Mako is the reason that our quality of life is so much better, and like with Mako we don't have to worry about the lights going off and blah 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 blah. And this is like a literal shift from the old world to the new world here, where like at first they were relying on coal power, and now this newfangled Mako is the hot new nuclear fusion of their society. Mm-hmm. And we learn as Cloud and the gang are at the base of a cable car that is to take them to Gold Saucer, which we'll describe what Gold Saucer is in a second. Barrett gives you a little lore dump on his background. And I say lore dump, that sounds a little too berating because this is really important.
This is a really good scene.
Barrett was the mayor of Coral.
It just seems like
he was like a community figure.
Yeah, he and his friend Dine that you're going to be introduced to were just strong voices in the community that everybody's deliberating whether they should agree to bring in Shinra to build a Mako reactor or not. And his friend Dine is the one holdout.
Barrett is in favor of it because he's like, well, we got to keep up with the times, basically. Whereas Dine is like, coal is our life. I don't want to.
Dine is a guy that still exists in this country.
Dine is a Republican. Barrett is a Democrat in this sense where it's a huge political talking point for the Republicans about like coal is America and like, our coal industry is the most important and it's clean, I promise. And
it's not even that. It's like somebody who actually lives there. It's like, this is what we know.
Yeah.
This is what we've lived on. This is what sustained this community. Like, I don't blame somebody for that point of view, which is like where Dine's at. And Barrett is the shit lib who's been sold that this is the hot new thing that's going to save everybody. And it's a lie.
My family...
It's always a lie from the capitalists.
I have a lot of family in West Virginia with a lot of coal miners as uncles. And to like hear them talk about the mines, like I had I believe it was my great grandfather on my father's side. He's a coal miner. And the story, this is the apocryphal story of my family's history. My great grandfather was on the coal thresher line where they had all the coal that they'd harvested, and it's on an assembly line that's going into a thresher that breaks it down. He sees a diamond in the coal dust. He reaches in to grab it. His hand gets caught in the thresher, and he loses his ring finger. And from that moment on, he just had a stub there.
Could have been much worse.
Could have been. I mean, he could have died, and my family line would have been extinguished. But he lost his ring finger to a diamond, which I always thought there was like some
that's really
absurdist. It's a synchronicity of some sort, or it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. So one more detail about like why Barrett is all about this. Well, actually, a couple of details. One, he still has both hands.
Yes.
In the flashback.
Gotta hand it to him.
Two, he's got a wife named Myrna.
Yeah, Myrna.
That's sort of like his like, oh, we got to do this for our families kind of thing.
Scarlet is the Shinra talking head here.
Yeah.
She's there to convince everybody.
Which is also delightfully gruesome. The way the scene opens up, you could see everybody there. And what's interesting is Scarlet and the Shinra guys get quickly blocked by the text blocks.
Interesting.
For like the first, minute or two of them conversing. And then we get the big, like the text box shifts for her to talk. And you're like, oh shit, she's there?
Yeah. It's that bitch from the boardroom.
Oh, don't, no, she's bad.
Yeah.
Don't listen to her. And then they like sort of like smash cut to, and we agreed to it. And for some reason they burnt down the town.
Well, there was, it was
something happened and they blamed it on the town.
Yeah. They blame basically some like pre-avalanche eco-terrorism perhaps was happening at Mako, the Mako reactor. And, Shinra just outright like they took the Shinra route where instead of singling out the wrongdoers and like punishing them justly, they just kill everybody.
Right. This is another thing there's American history precedent for. There's the Tulsa Massacre of Black Wall Street. There's Operation Move in Philadelphia, where I believe there was like a Black Panther sort of like a headquarters type building, and they just bombed it with children inside. The cops just came and firebombed it because they were like, well, no, you're not on our side. You want to rebel? Fine, we're going to firebomb you.
You could even go to like the Branch Davidians at Waco, Texas, like where there's just like, it's not uncommon for the government to, let's just say, overreact.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of Corel is it's in flames. And we cut back.
Oh, we left out the detail that part of why Barrett blames himself is that he and Dine were out of the town, out of the village when it got burnt.
Oh,
he thought like, oh, I should have been there, and I was the one who rooted for it, so this is my fault. Yeah,
I should have died in place of all these innocent people.
Yeah,
Barrett's got a pretty heavy burden on his heart there. Tifa,
and then like when you compound that with Sector 7,
I know,
and his
man.
guilt there, like this is a dude dealing with some real shit.
I mean, this is how you can really trace like Barrett's like resolve as a freedom fighter, as like where he's like, okay, like the stakes are so high now that like how I feel does not matter. It's only about the mission and in preserving the world as we know it. And the only way we can do that is by dismantling Shinra.
Well, and at least we hope that's where his head's at, because what we're going to cover in the next episode, this next scenario is going to draw that into question for a little while.
Absolutely. Tifa in her attempt to console Barrett after he tells them about his horrific trauma, which I don't think he's ever told Tifa or anyone else about this right now. This is his first time really opening up about it. Tifa says, we were all fooled by the promises Shinra made. And like, it's just that simple, where it's like Shinra is just a liar. Shinra is a deceiver. Shinra is what's wrong with the world. Whereas, all the innocent people caught up in its horrible reach for more and more resources and power, what Shinra would call collateral damage, these people would describe as like life-altering moments.
Mhm.
You know, it's like Scarlet, she doesn't give a shit about the people that she's killed. She's only interested in forwarding her career. And
it's almost
it's a matter of like when the priority is either with profits or humanity.
yeah. It's almost like there's a real human cost to all of our modern world conveniences.
Yeah, absolutely. I am super bummed about a lot of things in the world. Like
this game is the root of my depression. Yes.
At present, what really bothers me is the scarcity of lithium and like how much of my life revolves around lithium-ion batteries.
This is really interesting in reflection to this exact scenario that like even like
lithium equals Mako.
Well, even like the progressive lib types are like, we just need to move to solar. We need to move to this. We need to move to quote unquote renewable energy. And it's like, renewable to whom? Right? And like zero cost to whom? Because that shit comes out of the ground that powers those things, and there's only so much of it, and it is not pleasant to understand how it gets to us as I talk into all these devices that are controlled by it.
I drive a Prius right now, and I live in rural Indiana, and I was at a general store, like an old-timey general store in Indiana, and the guys behind the counter, there's always like 4 or 5 guys just like sitting there talking, old men, old rural guys, and one of the guys like says, "Hey, next time you plug in that Prius, why don't you stab a fork in that outlet?" Like,
he said that to your face.
Yes,
that rocks.
And I was like, it's a hybrid. You don't plug it.
Oh my god!
I was just like, oh, it's actually a hybrid. I need gas as well as. It's just like, but like that's the prevailing.
Was that like a lib cuck dig or like you're taking our industry dig?
No, he's like a fuck you city boy kind of thing.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And it's just like, oh man, like I didn't know. I was fooled by the lies of Shinra.
So anyway, we go to the gold saucer.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, the gold saucer is massive. It's like taller than Midgar. It's insane. It's
baby.
It's like, okay, I look at it, and there's a lot of Norse mythology tied in with Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
What's the tree in Norse mythology?
God. This is I don't know.
It looks.
I forget the name.
It looks like. I mean, it looks like a tree. It looks like. Well, and like what's interesting.
Yggdrasil.
What? Say it again.
Yggdrasil.
Okay. It looks like a depiction of that I've seen before, where it's except what Gold Saucer is a synthesis of the natural world. It's not a real tree. It's a fake tree.
Yeah.
It's not a parody, but like it's like a cursed replacement for a tree. It produces no oxygen. It does no good for the world. It is only there to reflect the natural beauty in a kind of subverted way. Gold Saucer is this massive idol to greed.
Yeah.
It is Disney World meets Las Vegas meets Epstein Island.
Unfortunately, there's no blue temple, but very close. Very close. This is something they explore again in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
There's the story of one of the expansions is you go to another world that you've been fighting back the darkness in your world, and this world has been overcome by light. There's one town that like feeds off of it and is like not necessarily like the Gold Saucer, because they have the Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy XIV, but they are the ones who live fat on the hog.
Yeah.
And their leader is this like fat, I honestly think they meant it as like a Donald Trump parody, and taking him out of leadership of that town as part of the scenario of that game. And it's a theme they've explored over and over again in the Final Fantasy universe.
Yeah. We're gonna leave it here for this episode. Gold Saucer, a lot of great stuff to enjoy and to learn as we visit this casino
of hell
resort water or amusement park. It's a weird, I don't know, it's just like the den of pleasure in this world.
Which is, it reminds me of like this is a thing that we build now, this like monument to consumerism and consumption. The one that comes to mind is, I think it replaced the Meadowlands Stadium in like the Newark, New Jersey area, like the New York City suburbs. There's just this massive mall in the middle of the swamp, and you see it from the highway that like leads around that part of New Jersey, and it's just huge. This huge, gross indoor area, and there's like an amusement park that like runs throughout it. It's so gross.
What's the Bass Pro Shop pyramid? And is it in Tennessee?
I forget it. That looks like Nerf headquarters. It's so great.
But it's an idol. It's a monument to greed.
Yeah, we love it, folks, don't we?
Yeah, more on Gold Saucer next week, guys. Thanks for
it's almost like thematically interesting media is critical of American consumerism and capitalism sometimes.
I love being harangued by the Japanese. Yeah.
Hit me. Drag me over the coals, Japan.
Yeah. Campers, we covered some ground. We're working our way through. We're learning a lot, aren't we? We're just so intent on not only making those numbers go up, but on learning the story of Final Fantasy VII. If you would like to chime in, let us know your favorite FMV from Final Fantasy VII in the comments below.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
I would say that my favorite FMV, I know I've said a lot of things are my favorite so far, but when I really assess what my favorite FMV in the game in general is, it'll be a little bit later, and it's got something to do with something made out of diamond.
It's got something to do with jiggle physics.
It's got something to do with some kaiju that we're going to encounter in this game.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh man, I'm so excited to keep playing this game. Josh, any other closing remarks on this segment of Final Fantasy VII?
No, other than that, I really love Mount Coral. I could live there. I could live in that little scenario with my 12-year-old self. There's something. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's been a blast. Y'all have been listening. And I'm sure that that's also been an experience for you too. Be sure to give us a follow. Instagram at Camp Video Games. Again, if you would like to watch Junior Counselor Josh's playthrough, join us over at patreon.com/campvideogames for $5 a month. You get access to playthrough content of some stuff and full commentary on every episode of the Legend of Zelda cartoon series and more once I upload it.
Yeah, we've done some others.
We have done some things.
Yeah.
And that's all for now, folks.
All right. Let's go gamble.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.